Hello and welcome to another edition of the C Squared podcast. I'm Curtis and I'm here with my co-host Aaliyah, and we are going to be talking with Jez all the way from Australia. He's in a band called Carmeria, which I just butchered the name even after I practiced it. And we're going to be talking to him for the next 30 to 40 minutes about all sorts of things, music related, and it's going to be awesome. So to start off, thank you very much, Jez, for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So now next question is going to be from Aaliyah.
Hey, Jez, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, what you play, and all that?
Yeah, sure. The regular spiel. So career-wise, I'm a high school music teacher down in Australia, and like to think of myself as a musician first, music teacher second. Started a symphonic metal band shortly after high school, Carmeria. So been playing guitar since I was 6 or 7 now, for as long as I can remember. That's the short version.
That's fine.
Had the pleasure of releasing our first debut album earlier this year. It was 6 years in the making, just due to lineup changes, people finishing uni, just life getting in the way. So it was really awesome to finally get it out there and actually feeling like the material was worth the wait. It was unfortunate that we had to release it during a pandemic. That was a little bit of a bummer because we haven't had the pleasure of touring it to its full potential and marketing it to its full potential, but still can look back and be very proud of the work. But I just try to blend my two, just with my personal life, I just try to blend my two interests, which is music and teaching. So I'm pretty happy I'm in a position where I follow both my passions, really.
Nice. Can I do a follow-up, please, Aaliyah?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I want to just quickly ask right here. So didn't it take you guys something like 8 years to actually release the album?
Yes. I think it was, 6 to 8 years. We get that number from the time we wrote the first song. So the first song was either Morningstar or Solaris. We had it written back in goodness, I'd like to think 6 years ago was only 2004 or something. I keep forgetting we're in 2021. That's frightening. Ages ago we had some demos written with Lisa and I. So Lisa was our first keyboardist and my best friend from high school. You can see her in the Carpe Noctem and the Solaris video clips.
Nice.
And have had some of her parts recorded on the album. Just various lineup changes got in the way. We had quite a few drummers and bassists come and go. Jordan was there really early from the start, and really grateful that he shared my vision in a symphonic metal creative project, and that our visions have aligned creatively, and we just go off each other's interests, and we complement each other in terms of that. But when people always ask, people are always surprised when they find out like I've stuck to it, because I think a lot of musicians get burnt out when so many hurdles might come their way. But like I said, some things are just out of our control, people leaving or uni. Like at the same time, I was finishing my teaching degree, so that got in the way. But I think we're all just very patient and understanding of things, but still had our end vision in sight, which was, no, we're writing some material. We want the world to hear this. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm done.
So Jez, you're a high school music teacher? And do you play other instruments besides guitar?
I'd like short answer, no. I'd like to say no. I specialize in guitar. I dabble in piano, but that's only because I can teach the junior years piano. But I would not really confidently introduce myself as, hey, I play piano, or I sing. I play piano quite poorly. I sing quite poorly. So I just say I specialize in guitar. I can just get my way around on classroom instruments. That's all.
Yeah. So what's the songwriting process like for Carmeria?
Sure. I think we're really lucky that practically everyone in the band now has their own home studio, whether it be of like different sizes and stuff. So everyone has recording software. So lately, due to lockdown in Australia, we've just been writing remotely, sharing MIDI files in the drive, even sharing snippets of ideas, even just holding up phones of like, hey, listen to this, and sharing it with each other. Yeah, like the internet has been amazing in that sense. Typically we'll just throw a whole bunch of instrumental versions like in the drive, in our like a shared Google Drive or whatever cloud system we use. And then Jordan will go away and usually write lyrics and melodies after. So more than often we'll have instrumental tracks done first before Jordan can do his magic on tracks that way. But I know, because he's a phenomenal lyricist, I know sometimes he'll just write lyrics, and he can sometimes write lyrics within a day. I envy him for that. So really skilled lyricist there. Yeah.
So I want to ask something though. Unless you brought it up and I missed it beforehand, and maybe when you guys were talking when I had gone to do my thing. Why? Okay, so I don't think there's too many bands in Australia that play the same style as you. I don't think there is. Maybe I'm living under a rock. I don't know. But why did you guys decide to do symphonic metal? Because it doesn't seem like it's an Australian thing, unless, I mean, I could be missing something.
No, sure, absolutely. There aren't that many symphonic metal bands, and I usually have this funny conversation with my students, right? So like, I'll be teaching, and then students would ask me, well, when they, like junior kids would find out, oh, you're in a band. So why are you teaching? Why aren't you famous? Because, they don't know any better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the older kids, I'll explain like, well, I play a bit of a niche genre. So just down here, it's not as popular, say in like Finland, Europe or the Scandinavian countries there. And to which most commonly I get, oh, okay, so why don't you just play Aussie rock? Why don't you just sound like AC/DC? Or why don't you just write pop music? Or, why don't you just keep up with what's current so you can make a career from it or make money from it there? I would be really sad. I think I'd be really unhappy if I forced myself to write in a style that I didn't enjoy. And just quickly, because I know people are going to listen to this, and that's not obviously to invalidate those amazing and skilled songwriters out there that get commissioned to write in different styles. I'll just admit, like, I'm not as not as fluent in writing in many different styles. So I envy that creativity there. Backtracking a little bit, I've just always found, and I think Aaliyah can resonate with this, there's just a really unique beauty in that contrast between heavy metal and the delicate nature and the tone of like a symphonic orchestra. So when I first discovered symphonic metal, and I'm like, you can do this blend, like it, and it works. So I think, my earliest taste of symphonic metal would have been, I dare say early Cradle of Filth, and they had like their symphonic elements there, and probably Nightwish, when one of my first guitar teachers was giving me some Nightwish tracks just to broaden my horizons. And I was like, this is it. Like, I've never just heard anything that just moved me so much, and I was like, this is what I want to do. Similarly, like I said, I had Lisa and Jordan that shared that love for that, and we were just like, yeah, we want to compose in this style. And I think I have an advantage being a high school teacher too, because naturally in our curriculum down here, we have to teach sometimes a little bit about the earlier musical eras, like classical era, romantic era. So naturally, because I have to study and keep my knowledge up of that, I find it overlapping into my songwriting, which I think is which I love. So again, I'm really lucky to say, like, I have those two passions overlapping.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, definitely can resonate with that. I was going to ask you what your first symphonic metal influences were, but you've already answered that. Let's move on to talk. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, a hands down, probably Dark Passion Play, and Once would be like the go-to OGs that really started it for me. Like, I think Once was the first Nightwish album I heard, so that
Same.
just always just gotta have a soft spot in my heart. But Dark Passion Play is just filthy when it comes to like the riffs and stuff. It's really heavy and I just love it. So
Yeah, I think the
those two,
songwriting on Dark Passion Play,
yeah,
so good.
yeah.
But yeah, we got unlucky. We discovered the band right when they were changing over vocalists. So I never got to see them with Tarja, and I kind of felt sad about that. But
Neither.
it's what it is. But I was gonna say, let's transition over to Twitch for a second. And why don't you tell me about when you guys decided to start a Twitch for the band and how that's manifested in a way?
Sure. Started as a bit of a lockdown project. So we first hit lockdown, or don't quote me on this, roughly March or April last year. And I started to do a few Instagram lives where I was just hanging out with people while I was changing guitar strings, or as I thought, oh, I'm actually going to do a bit of a practice or play some of the stuff I warm up to. And then Jordan started hijacking some of the streams. So we do like the duo streams, and we'd just be talking. And then we thought, okay, why don't we make this a regular thing? Maybe like every Wednesday, let's call it a show. And we just thought, oh, Red Wine Wednesday. That's just because that sounds good. Alliteration gets you everywhere. So it just turned into a weekly talk show where just him and I would be talking about the band, where you get people to ask questions. Started to vary it slowly, where we get different members of the band on. Then we started to expand it, like interviewing some people. So again, just on Instagram Live. At the time, our manager said, have you heard of Twitch? It could be really awesome if you expand to Twitch. You can monetize. There's an option there to monetize your streams. And we thought, well, that's good. Money is good.
Yep.
So eventually moved to Twitch. It's been a really fun process. At first, I'll admit it was a little bit draining, because I thought, oh my goodness, there's so much more to learn. And I was definitely had imposter syndrome in the sense of I was comparing myself to all these other pro streamers. Because just starting out, I was like watching other people, seeing what they were doing. I thought, oh my goodness, I will never get to this level. Or why did all their streams like look so nice? And here I am with my, crappy Logitech webcam. And yeah. So the guests have made it all worthwhile. I'm sure Curtis, no, I don't need to talk anymore about like my amazing interview with Lindsay, and like just how much like I've had the pleasure of just I'd like to say befriending Lindsay Schoolgrove. Never in my dreams I think I'd do that. And Sarah Jezebel Diva as well, and she's hooked me up with a couple of amazing people. I had the pleasure of interviewing Christian Neiman of Therion and Mortis. That was a really amazing experience as well. So the networking has been amazing. It's been a slow process from a technical point of view, i.e. upgrading microphone, camera here, just getting all this set up. Like I've gotten extra lights just to make this look a lot more pro. But definitely been fun. It's been amazing. And I think it's worthwhile in this day and age when more artists are doing it. And you have to get to a certain point. Twitch calls it an affiliate status, when you can start monetizing your stream. So you have to stream like X hours a week. And the second show we do is a gaming stream. So every Sunday I hop on the computer and I either play some PC games or I play PlayStation, because Christina Scabbia, I think, from Lacuna Coil, is a fantastic example of how you should do streaming. And Matt Healy as well from Trivium, because they're absolutely killing it. And sometimes it's good just to wind down with the community. And it's the comments, like every now and then when I get a comment saying, hey, I've had a really shitty day, and just coming in watching your stream has like raised my mood a little bit. It all makes that worthwhile.
Yeah, I think people forget in our digital age that we're social creatures, and sometimes having that human connection where you're having an actual conversation with somebody, it's so important, and people forget to have that. sometimes, and Twitch allows that connection. So
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I'm not in the same room as people, like I've said it live before. Like it just feels like I'm hanging out with friends sometimes. For sure, I'll recognize some of the people that come in as some of my friends that come in and watch, but some just regular usernames. I just feel like, hey, it's good to have this person in because they're a regular viewer, and it just turned into a bit of a hangout. So yeah, it's been really awesome.
I have two questions I want to follow up with. So number one is, how did you get Sarah on your Twitch initially?
I had a bit of a confidence boost one night. May or may not have been drinking something at the same time.
Oh.
And I thought, and this was around the same time Sarah was just making her comeback. She was just posting on all her Facebook and stuff again. And I was like, screw it. What's the worst that could happen? So I sent her an email. I just sent her an email introducing myself, kept it short and sweet, just said, I'm so-and-so from Carmeria. I've been holding this interview show. This is what we do. Also been a long time fan of your music and, kept an eye on you when you're doing Cradle Filth and Anctoria, blah, blah, blah. Would you be interested? And she just got back saying, I think this would be amazing. Yes. And it was literally that simple. But what I was really blown away with was, I lie. Initially, Sarah didn't say yes. She said she may be interested in the future, but that's when she threw me just out of the blue, like Christian's email, Mortis's email, and some other people's emails. And she said, I have already contacted them for you. They're expecting you. So it was just that generosity that I was just blown away with. And I've already, thanked her too many times to count for it. And then eventually I just followed her up and just said, hey, would you like to come on the show now? Like, you've hooked me up with all these great people. I'd really love to talk to you. And she said, yeah. And then, yeah.
Was it, she wasn't on camera, was she? She was audio only, right?
Audio only. And I've messaged her privately as a little joke saying, oh, come on, now I need to get you on for a second show if you're brave enough to go on camera. So I might take her up on that next year.
Well, that's awesome. So basically all you did is you just sent an email randomly. There was no prep work. You'd never talked to her before or anything like that, and just got her.
Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's a good lesson. Yeah, because I got a random message. Yeah, I'm going to be on the show in Australia at like 4 a.m. or something. I'm like, I'm not fucking watching that. That's good. But,
I don't think it was that early. I tried to make a compromise so it wasn't too early for her.
Well, even early to me, I think it was like 4 or 5. I can't remember. I was like, I'm not getting up then. But which brought me to my next question. There was a point to that, not just making fun of the time zone difference. How do you get guests from over here and in the UK and stuff when the time zone is so fucked up? Because like you couldn't do it now because it'd be like 2 o'clock in the morning over there, right?
Yeah. I think I've been lucky. Because Red Wine Wednesday we hold at 9 p.m. over here, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's usually the time slot. So look, don't quote me, but over there, so with you guys, like America, it's like it might be 6 or 7 a.m. So it's not. I'd like
depending where you are.
Yes. So I'd like to think it's not too early. So when I've communicated with Adrian and Peter from Seven Spires and Lindsay, and there's one more another American gentleman I interviewed. It wasn't too hard to work out the time zone. I just said the time of the show and they were like, don't worry, we'll make it work. So that was easy. I think with Mortis and I think Sarah, there was just a little bit of compromise. We just moved it an hour early. So over here, I just started at 8 p.m. And again, it was just worked from there. There's only been one instance where I haven't worked out a time. There was this Swedish musician, like a goth alt musician called Axel Decay. I forget the name of his band, but like I follow him on Instagram. He was keen, but we just couldn't work out the time zone differences. It would have meant like I would have had to do a stream at like 2 p.m. over here, and I teach at that time. So, but more than often, just have that open communication and just that being willing to compromise, because obviously these people are doing me a benefit. So it's not like would have been like to say Lindsay, oh, I can't do it, screw that. So I'm willing to compromise, of course.
Of course.
Mm.
I think that's all I got on that. Aaliyah.
Okay, let's go back to talking about your album. How do you pronounce the album title?
Advene.
Advene.
If I
Advene.
said, I hope the rest of the band members don't crucify me. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it.
I just wanted to maybe talk a little bit about the release process, how you marketed it, and how you felt it went. I know you posted a pic with the hoodie that was exclusive to pre-orders, so maybe you can talk about your pre-order campaign, what platform you used.
Sure. I'll be honest, I'm not the best person to talk about the pre-order campaign because our wonderful drummer, Lachlan, handles all the merch. So he's the brains behind all that stuff. I'll admit sometimes he'll explain things and I'll go in one ear and out the other for me, but I have complete faith and trust in him. So I just rather not speak about that because I just lack the confidence to speak about that. All I know is that we did a pre-order campaign and it went really well. Postage was a bit of a nightmare just with COVID, as you can imagine. Just stocks were delayed with certain things, and some fans were less patient than others. But like there's so things are out of control, so that was really difficult. In a similar vein, COVID affected the release. So you asked how did the marketing go? At the time, we were signed to Hard Drive Agency, and they had a PR campaign lined up for us that we we paid for, did all that. Not bagging out the campaign in the slightest, but definitely think like due to COVID, it didn't go as smooth as it could have gone. We haven't even toured the album yet. So on Carmeria's Instagram and my Instagram, we've spoken about how we have a tour lined up at the end of the year. It's late, but we finally get to play a few shows in late November, early December to finally close off the year. Again, COVID pending, like the venues are locked in, but if we have another outbreak or any venue could just turn around and say, hey, we're not we're not comfortable with playing shows yet. So fingers crossed that can actually happen. All things considered, we still wanted to get it released, and it is released. We've had the minimal feedback we've gotten. It's been amazing. And about the album itself, I guess it's just a loose concept album about Lucifer's fall from heaven. So loosely around Paradise Lost. We didn't want to write a whole concept album on that because it's been done too many times. So it's loosely about Lucifer's fall from heaven and the whole turmoils around like dangers of love and dangers of I don't want to say things possessing you, but things I'll just leave it at that because I feel like Jordan could answer that better.
So I got a quick question for you. Just so the album came out on digital and on CD?
Yes. Yes.
So I was going to get you to expand on that a bit. So sorry. So was it released worldwide, just in Australia? Like kind of want you to.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Obviously released on all digital platforms.
Yeah.
We had physical CDs made, but that's when we thought we were going to have a tour lined up. So we made a whole bunch of physical CDs with the intention to sell them at shows and stuff. They're on our store. They're on our web store to purchase, and some people have been buying them that we've just been posting out. But the main bulk of stuff that we've been trying to keep aside so we can sell well at this upcoming tour.
Okay, cool. And then how do you I don't know what it's like in Australia, but do you guys sell a lot of CDs as a general rule, or is it mainly digital?
Yeah.
Or do you not know?
I think I'm confident in saying that the metalheads still want their collectibles. Like you got to any show down here, people still want their shirts, people still want to buy CDs. It's hard to narrow down what I find there's a split in what people want in terms of their age. I find that, and I don't want anyone listening to this to quote me on this, but what I've noticed is that the older generations of metalheads still want their CDs and their shirts. Whereas I'm finding a lot of, say, the younger people, even my students, I think I've had the advantage of talking to my students. I'm like, what would you guys want to see at a merch table? And I try to, sneak in that question. They all want the novelty things like bags and socks and beanies and stuff like that, which is really interesting. And I think like the younger generation want more the clothing and accessories and not so much the CD, as opposed to say, the older generation. But that's just what I've noticed over here, especially.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it makes sense because they have grown up with streaming services as opposed to us, where we grew up with CDs or pirating music.
Yes.
But not streaming services. So
Aaliyah kind of answered my question. So I was going to say, define what you mean by older generation versus younger generation, but I guess people in their 30s and up is what you're saying, or mid 20s or whatever and up, I guess. I don't know. But one thing, okay, so what do you guys sell actually the most of then? Shirts?
Definitely.
Cool.
Classic short sleeve t-shirts.
Yeah. Yeah, Lachlan's been amazing. I just can't give him credit enough for this because he's built up the store from nothing, essentially. We've been slowly expanding our horizons with merch options, like for Halloween items this year. We've just re-released our Halloween special Gothmas shirts, and we released we released socks for the first time. Had a couple of people buy some socks, which is nice, but more than often our t-shirt designs get bought. So but I guess it comes down to, you just have to experiment. We have plans to experiment with like singlets and tanks when summer rolls around, get different designs of like long sleeve shirts and hoodies next year. But still, as a new band, I'd like to think of us as I say new band, but we've been around for like 6 to 8 years writing an album. But I think with a band that has just a recent debut album, I think we're still experimenting with, what works with our merch, especially.
Cool. What other questions do we have, Aaliyah?
Well, if we don't have any more questions about Carmeria, we could move to talking about Requiem for the Damned.
We could, but I have one more because I was asking because I thought you might have had another one, because I have one more about Carmeria.
Go for it.
What is the name? Like, what is that based on? I don't think you told us.
Sure. It's a portmanteau of two Latin words, Carmina and Miseria, which loosely translates to songs of misery. Yeah. It happened at a music conference, like a music industry conference. Shortly after leaving high school, I was with the then bassist and drummer, Anthony and Reese, like the first incarnation of the band 8 years ago. And this is when we were kind of like just forming Carmeria. I'm like, we need a name. And, we were just like, oh, Latin sounds metal. Let's come up with a name in Latin.
Yep.
I roll my eyes at that now, but like it's exactly how we thought. Like I'll be honest. Latin sounds metal. So we're just kind of coming up with phrases and stuff. So and then I think I think it was my idea to be like, oh, let's blend some words, because again, that's metal. And then we had Carmina because we like that name, and then Carmina. Initially we had Carmina Dolorosa, which I don't remember what that translates to, but then we were like, well, that can't really blend that together, and then we just had Carmina and Miseria. I'm like, Carmeria. Oh, that sounds cool. And it's kind of like a word we made up.
Nice. And then what is the
teenagers? There you go.
What does the album title mean too? Is that another Latin word?
Yes, and I forget the direct translation, so I don't want to give the wrong information online.
No worries. Okay. Now I'm done with my Carmeria questions.
Actually, one more Carmeria question. You mentioned, it sounds like you guys have delegated your duties very well within the band. How did you manage that? And how did you divide the duties like that?
I'm glad you asked this question, because I think every band should have something similar. We we take mental health really seriously. Like I'm a big mental health advocate, especially if we're going to talk about screaming out shortly. We try to check in with each other and we try to assess where our strengths are, where our weaknesses are, what we like doing and what we don't like doing. And I think that's really important to recognize from the outset. Your band is a family, your band is a community, it's a team. And with any working team, like to think of like in any workforce, when you have a manager or a boss, you do want to check in with your team. We had some outside help. So again, I'm not going to take all the credit for like organizing all this, but Lachlan's wife, her name's Liz. She's held kind of like mediation sessions with us before where we've kind of taken a step back. We try to do it once a year, actually, where we assess our goals, see what tasks everyone is doing, and we just touch base to see like how is everyone going with this mentally. Because if we find that we're stressing out or putting in so much effort and we're just not enjoying the task anymore, then we think, all right, maybe we need to let someone else try this task. And just lately we found a really good blend. So Jordan is an amazing lyricist. He's amazing with his words, a lot more than me. I'm sure if you interview him, he'd probably be a bit more affluent than me. He handles all the social media because he knows how to word our posts. He's just great with that. Lachlan has always wanted to open his own merch store, so then he handles all the merch. As much as I like trying to be the dark mysterious one, I'm probably one of the most charismatic ones, so here I am doing all the Twitch stuff. So yeah, it's just having that talk of what are all our strengths and going from there. And I just think I think a lot of bands burn out that way because they think, oh crap, we needed to do all this ourselves. Which is smart to do, which is smart to have a DIY approach sometimes. So, but when they're trying to force themselves to do things that they don't enjoy, I think that's a nasty trap to fall into.
Agreed.
Yeah.
How did you come to the decision to have them on a consistent basis annually? And what are the benefits of that, do you think? I have my own answer, but I want you to answer.
Sure. I think I got a little bit from school because it was around the same time when we were doing performance reviews at school, like just with my faculty and like as a team. And we're just getting asked some really important questions. I can't quote them for you now. Just about the performances, like where do we see ourselves? What changes do we want to make? How effective do we think our work has been? Those kind of questions. And I just sat from it and I thought, I really want to take these questions to the band. And then we did that. And then that's when like Lachlan's wife, Lachlan suggested, oh, hey, my wife has run mediation sessions with her colleagues before because Lachlan's wife is also a teacher at a university. And we thought that's a really good idea. Let's do that. Short answer, we saw how beneficial it was. We like felt amazing afterwards. We thought, well, let's keep this up. So I think we've been doing that for 2 or 3 years now. And I think it is good to help us like mentally reset at times. I think that's really important.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really, I think I might have to try to adopt that with my band. Really good idea. And yeah, it's what they do at jobs for a reason. So, because if you wait until you have to have a meeting, then there's a problem.
Yep.
So,
and that's the mindset I had. It's like you have that in big organizations where you want to look after your staff.
yeah.
And sure, it's a band, but there's still all my staff. So like we're still a team. So should still be checking in and yeah, just as important.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Curtis?
I don't have anything more on that. I was waiting for you to carry on.
Okay. You brought up Scream It Out, came up in this conversation. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, how it went, what it was?
Sure. So I had the pleasure of taking part in a those personal development, self-development courses that you can pay for. I did one 2 years ago now with an organization called Landmark Worldwide. So you can look them up. They run personal development courses. I've done a fair few of their courses, and they're amazing. I can recommend them to anyone. One of their particular courses, they get you to implement a project into the community. That's part of their, they train you up in implementing a project into the community. Have you ever heard of Are You OK Day?
No, I've not.
Okay, but it's an Australian thing over here where this gentleman the concept of Are You OK Day is where you touch base with friends, like ask them if they're okay. It's a mental health awareness thing. But this gentleman did the same course, and he started the project because his father passed away of suicide because he had mental health issues. So that was his project. He's since passed, but now it's become this like nationwide thing. So it's blown up.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, I did the same course, and my project was to put on an all ages festival, specifically for alternative LGBTQI plus friendly youth, because I see that in my work. And I wanted to raise money for Beyond Blue, which it's a mental health organization over here. So that was my aim. So then I spent, whilst doing this course, learning how to put it all together, I spent 4 months organizing it. I shared the project with my principal, who is also very passionate about, queer youth and alternative youth. And it was her idea to hold it at my school. So it wasn't a school event, just to be clear. So it wasn't a school event. It was still like my personal event. And it was absolutely amazing. We sold out. We had a COVID restriction. Unfortunately, we only have 200 people due to the size of our hall. But Carmeria played, which was really amazing. I really wanted to play because I wanted to, play to my most of the crowd was my students and some members of the community, which was amazing. It was the first all ages show we played, and it was probably the best crowd we played to, actually. But I wanted to get up on stage in my goth gear and be like, look, this is what I do. And I don't want young people to feel like they should, shelter if they're experimenting with who they are as teenagers do, whether it is, identifying with different sexualities or just identifying with how they present themselves physically with different stereotypes of how they dress or whatever. Had some amazing bands play. Had a student band play, like a current, like school student band play to open the night. It was absolutely amazing. Raise about $2,000. So all profit just went to all proceeds went to the mental health organization after just paying for marketing and just stuff like that. And really keen to do it again next year. Just obviously just want to see what things are like with COVID restrictions over here. That's all, because it might not be as successful, but keen to make it bigger and better each year.
Nice.
Cool. Chris, do you have any follow-up on that?
I don't on that, but I do have one more question. Unless you have a question,
you can ask your question.
I'm allowed. Good. So, Jez, can you? This is kind of a goofy question. I'm going to ask it anyways. So, do you guys really eat kangaroos in Australia, or is that like a myth?
You can go to some restaurants and you can get kangaroo beef burgers. Just think of it as really thick and tasty steak if you enjoy your red meat.
Okay.
But it has a really strong odor.
Okay. And my final goofy question is, what do you think of Vegemite?
I love it. I think I'm glad you asked that, because I think if I had the pleasure of having international friends come here for the first time, the first thing I would say is you need to try Vegemite.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay.
I haven't tried it yet. I still need to try it.
No, you don't want. You don't. Trust me. It's fucking horrible.
I need to out Vegemite.
But
Curtis.
How much did you have, Curtis? Because there's a perfect bread to Vegemite ratio that you need. So maybe you just had too much. So you need to have the perfect bread to margarine to Vegemite ratio, and just enjoy Vegemite on a piece of bread. That's all you need.
All I know is Australian sent me a tube of it, and I thought it was the most terrible shit I'd ever eaten in my life.
It is
Doesn't
very
matter
salty.
what kind of bread you put it on.
It was fucking terrible in my opinion. I don't know how you guys fucking eat it, but I know it's like an Australian thing. Anyways, that's all I got for questions. Leah, do you got more questions?
Do we have time to ask about Requiem for the Damned?
Yeah. All the time in the world for you guys.
Ooh.
Requiem, I'm technically a session guitarist for. That started, I'm not going to get the year right here, but I'm just going to say roughly.
Encyclopedia Metallum says 2005.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. Oh, well, I was still in high school then. So that's when Requiem formed. This is a funny story, actually. So in Carmeria's first incarnation, so when we had if you listen to Carmeria's EP on Spotify, where you hear the female singer and we sound not as heavy as we do now, that incarnation of the band, we were supposed to go on our first interstate tour. Because we had just released the EP, we had something lined up, we had everything booked, and then members left. Stuff hit the fan, and members parted ways. Unfortunately, the tour didn't go ahead. We were meant to play with Requiem of the Damned in an area called Newcastle over here. I was befriending the members of the band just through communication because we were going to be playing the same show together. And I thought, screw it, tour is cancelled, but I want to come watch you guys anyway because they just seemed really nice and I liked their stuff. Went up and watched them, loved their stuff. Maybe a year or two after, they parted ways with their guitarist. This was the time when Carmeria was still forming. I think it was only Lisa and Jordan and I, so we're still finding members, still songwriting. I just wanted to get on stage. I just wanted to play. And I thought, well, I'd love the opportunity. I was still young then too, in my early 20s. And I thought, well, I want the experience of joining a band that I've, playing with musicians I've never played with before. Bit of self-improvement. Don't regret it to this day. So I don't take credit for any of the songwriting there. I just do like my guitar parts and that's it. Daryl is the main songwriter there. Absolutely amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, there's not really much to say there. Just when they play, I'll drive up. It's roughly about 2 hours away from where I live. But I drive up, play, sometimes help with songwriting, but I just don't contribute too much. It's been an amazing experience. And I think my advice to any musician is if you can play with other people that are been around for longer than you or just had that opportunity to be a session musician, absolutely do it. Because it's an experience, and I think anyone can benefit from that. And I've remained friends with them, still are really good friends. So, yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. That's my last question, Curtis.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we got for the night. So do you have any final words that you'd like to say, Jez, before we end off?
Buy my album would be really nice. So you can go to www.carmeria.com. Should take you to a link file, whatever it's called. You can tell I'm know my business stuff. Listen to the album, and yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming on.
I think networking honestly is one of the best one of the biggest positives I can say from this career next to performing on stage.
Nice.
So opportunities like this and stuff.
I got one final thing for you, Jez. How do people find you on Twitch?
Twitch.tv
/Carmeria. Awesome. Cool.
Perfect.
And with that, we got the outro from Aaliyah.
All right. Until next time, everyone, make like a bull. Throw those horns up.